this is our fifth wonder, and it's getting better and better. So thank you for waiting until the perfect time to join. We're just going to spend a few moments allowing other people to join in. But meanwhile, if you're here and you're near a keyboard, why don't you just let us know where you're calling from, where you're calling in from, because it's a global event. If you could maybe put your location into your name, you click the three little dots and change your name so it says Angelica Anatoli, Planet Mars, or wherever you come from. Yes? And the other thing is, if you can, we would love to ask you to turn your cameras on, because this is about humanity and it's good to see humans where possible. Okay. Altaira Norte. Did I say that right? Altaira Norte. Where are you coming from? Where are you calling from? Oh, we can't hear you, but yeah, now we can. Where are you calling from?
Vancouver.
Okay, don't be embarrassed. It's a perfectly good place to be calling from. It's like, don't tell anybody.
It is a perfectly good place to be calling from.
It's like such a good place. We kind of envy you, actually, to be really honest. Anyway, so this is fantastic. Welcome to the Worldwide Wander, which is a love project between Creative Mornings, rah, and Street Wisdom. Those of you know Street Wisdom. So I'm going to let Krista in a little while, Krista from Brooklyn, NY. You're going to tell us a little bit more about Creative Mornings, but let me just give you a little bit of context about sort of why we're here. The Worldwide Wander happened when two organizations, Creative Mornings and Street Wisdom, both of whom are passionate exponents of and champions of creativity, kind of realized that we've been working in parallel for 10 years and then met. So I met Tina. Many of you know Tina Roth-Eisenberg. And you know how it is in creative communities. You meet somebody, you feel like you've known them forever. Hey, Lisa, good to see you there. It's great there. You look like you've been painted by Hockney. You look amazing, doesn't she? You got the Hockney filter on. You look... Did that happen naturally, or you woke up and thought about that? I tell you, she's in graphics, just so you know. I know that. You see? I knew it. Amazing. One of the great backgrounds. Where was I? I've lost my way. Good. When you meet creative people, it's like family a little bit, and there's lots and lots of things in common. And so we kind of jumped straight to it. And both Tina and I and our teams, and many of the teams are on the call and hidden away behind the scenes, felt that now would be a great time, post-pandemic, and with all the things that are going on in the world, it seems that it's unusually important that creatives get imaginative. The way I see it, I don't know if this resonates with you, is that if we imagine better futures, for ourselves, for our kids, for the world, for the planet, there's no guarantee they're going to happen. None. But if we don't imagine them, there is a guarantee they won't happen. Everything is created twice in this world, first in your mind and then in the world. And so partly our job, and creative people do this, is to look for better ways, to really stretch our imagination. And that can be difficult for creatives who are doing it day in, day out, creative people, because you're kind of stretched a bit thin. So partly what today is about is a bit of some radical self-care and time to attend to your own creativity. Is that useful for people, or do people? Yeah, I think so. Let's attend to ourselves. So a bit of what the Buddhists call wise selfishness. Let's be wisely selfish. A few things I probably need to tell you. The first is that this is being recorded I hope that's okay with you. Hey, Elsa Pearl, that is my daughter. Oh, my word. I tell you, this is shaping up to be the walk of the year. How fabulous. Thank you for joining. That's fantastic. Great to see you. I love you. I mean, I love you all, but particularly I love you. Good. Yes, we're being recorded so that, because there's an act of collective creativity happening here. and we wanted to have a 24-hour record, partly to drive our editor mad, but also because there's gold in where your imagination is going to take us. And it's the first time we've ever done this, and we just want to be able to filter and look at what great things you've come up with. So that's part of it. Also, there's a YouTube audience, wave to the YouTube audience, of billions, I'm told, watching us. Well, pure meno. And they're watching us. And if you're on YouTube watching us, we hope you enjoy it. And remember two things. One is you can go on the walk by watching others walk, or you can just hop off YouTube and join a walk. We've got 11 more as we walk around the world. So there's plenty of time. We may be a little more tired when you see us in 5 hours time, but 10 hours time, but we will be here. Great. So we're recording it. It's YouTube. And I use the word workshop, and the perceptive among you will notice it's got the word walk in it. And yes, indeed, at the heart of this experience is we are going to encourage you to walk out of your houses, the places you got so warm and comfortable in COVID during the pandemic, into the outside world. And we'll talk about why we're going to do that. But we really encourage you to do that. You don't have to do that, but we encourage you to do it. And if you do, get your shoes on, get your cameras ready, because it's really good to go out with your mobile phone and your camera, and wrap up warm if it's cold, or cool if it's hot. Good. So let me just quickly tell you what's going to happen context-wise. We are following morning across the world, going west. Yes? So we started in New York, and then we've been moving across the time zones. Krista will tell us which time zone this is in a minute. But it's a daisy chain of wonderfulness involving thousands of people across the world. And in each place, we're doing a workshop. And what's interesting is it's getting more and more powerful each time. No pressure, by the way, but it's more and more wonderful, more and more interesting things are happening. And this has got something to do, I think, with when people like you jointly have an intention, it has an outsized impact. Okay, so that's really what we're doing here. Now, in terms of impact, before I hand to Krista, we reached out to friends across the world, people who are real creative doers. And I want to introduce you to, I had a little conversation yesterday with a man called Sir Tim Smith. And some of you may know Tim. He conceived and built the Eden Project in the south of England. And now there are ones in China and all over the world, which is a kind of repository of our biome, really. And he's an extraordinary man and doesn't accept that. He doesn't accept he's extraordinary, which makes him extraordinary. He is a worldwide leader in the environmental movement. He's a mischief maker. He's a provocateur. He doesn't believe in talking about it. He believes in doing. They want to make the Eden Project energy sustainable, so they have drilled a 4.5 kilometer geothermic pipe into the Earth's crust, and they'll be heating and powering not just the Eden Project, but 50,000 homes around. The man's a doer. He's also provocative. So in this little film, he's a bit challenging. Okay, and that's his MO. So I asked him to provoke us. Let's see what he had to say, and then we'll hear a little bit more about Creative Mornings and where we're going with this walk today. So let's hear from Tim Smith.
Okay, hello world. I'm Tim Smith from the Eden Project in the far southwest of Britain, in a county called Cornwall. And I've been asked to have a rant for probably 2.5 to 3 minutes about what I think we could all do to change the world. As you walk the streets, smile at people. You have no idea whether the person you are smiling at was off to jump off a bridge or was going to do something and get really angry. And your life-affirming smile, or even a good day or a good afternoon or a good night, depending on where it is, could actually be life or death. Just imagine the excitement that every time you smile, it could be a life or death moment. And at the very worst, it is just life-affirming. What's to lose? So, my friends, what I'm suggesting is that we should in a very narrow focus, just agree on a couple of things. Well, let's agree on 3 things. Do you not think we should all have clean water? Do you not think we should all have fertile soil to hand on to future generations? And do you not think that we should all have clean air to breathe deep in and to sustain the life on this one planet that sustains it? We've made the world feel as if it belonged to us in one sense, and then it nurtures us in another. And we could start a movement where we actually smile and think, you know, that Homo sapiens, they're not bad, you know. I know they're a bit arrogant calling themselves sapiens, so wise, we've named ourselves twice. But if we forgive them for that, I think they've got a chance. So let's sign up to that.
Okay, well, I can tell you they've cleaned that one up. He really laid into us. He was talking about liberals and conservatives and stuff. But what a lovely man and what a doer. So I love that. And so do you. A smile can be life affirming. And let's agree on a few things. I think one of the things that is great about Tim and what he said there is, as creatives, we can get dazzled by all the possibilities. And as you go out in the streets and you ask your question, and we'll come to that in a second, is you can be asking loads and loads of questions, but sometimes it's difficult, I know it is myself, to concentrate on a few simple things and do them. So I'm going to pause now and I'm going to come to Krista, who represents and speaks for and is an exemplar of the gorgeous, the wonderful, the honeycomb of wonderfulness that is Creative Mornings. Krista, hi!
Good. I'm so happy to be here. I'm wearing my confetti sweater special for this event. So thank you for the warm introduction. And I just want to also say what a wise video from Sir Tom Smith. I love how he reminded us that simply acknowledging someone's presence with a smile or a hello can change someone's day or even life. Wow. That was just really powerful. So hi, everyone. My name is Krista McDonald, and I am the partnerships manager here at Creative Mornings. I have been with this thoughtful and heart-forward organization for 6 months now, but it feels like I've been here for years. I feel like I'm part of a family. I even feel like I'm a part of a family with Street Wisdom, and I've been on a few events with them. So it's incredible. I am reporting live from rainy Brooklyn, but I am nice and cozy, just being able to see all your faces. I have a candle lit. I've lit some Palo Santo, and I am just ready to relax with you all. I'm just grateful. And how magical is this? I mean, this is just an incredible experience. I have the honor of representing the communities waking up at this hour for this particular wander. It's Creative Mornings Honolulu. Here's the Honolulu chapter here doing what they do best, which is having fun. And honestly, who doesn't love a photo booth? I mean, come on. So hello, everyone. And thank you for waking up with us. If you're curious what cities are participating in this 24-hour wander, you can go to www.theworldwidewander.com. There are plenty to see and plenty to experience. And if you haven't already, we want to know where you're calling in from. So please take the time to rename yourself with the city you're in and representing, or simply just share in the chat. And now I want to expand on why we call Creative Mornings, or Tina calls Creative Mornings, the engine of generosity, and what makes our events so special, warm, and overall welcoming. Every single month, usually on a Friday, because who doesn't love a Friday? A crew of hundreds of volunteers roll out of their beds bright and early, working tirelessly to put an event on for their community. That means organizing speakers, the volunteers, coffee, and maybe even mugs, as seen here, how sustainable of these individuals from our Columbia chapter, breakfast, venues, partners, and other special elements that make the event particularly unique for that particular community. And what's really important and what I want to emphasize, and I think Street Wisdom does as well, is that these events are free and accessible to all. We welcome all. We here at Creative Mornings believe that everyone is creative and we all have something unique and special to offer to the world, especially this gentleman and the unicorn he's on top of. And in some cities, you'll have the opportunity to pitch an idea to the entire room, hear a local musician, or find a special someone to collaborate with. There really truly is something for everyone, and you're guaranteed to be surrounded by a diverse group of creatives right in your community and some of the warmest, most friendly, engaged people I know. And if you travel, hands up if you like to travel. Yeah. Part of your itinerary can be discovering a Creative Mornings event in over 200, yes, that's right, over 200 cities in nearly 70 countries. So we're truly global. So that's a sneak peek into how we dance here at Creative Mornings. And if you don't have a local chapter, we strongly encourage you to start one. You can read more on our website, creativemornings.com. You scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and click the Start a Chapter link, and you can start a chapter yourself. And that is all from me. So I'm going to pass the baton, or should I say the walking stick, back to David.
Hey, I love what you did there with that. Thank you, Krista. So cool. So there are a lot of things that we have in common. Let me say a couple of things about Street Wisdom so we understand a bit of context as we set off on this experience together. And it will be an experience that leaves you with a technique, with a practice that you can use anytime, any place, anywhere. So essentially, Street Wisdom came from like best things in life. You kind of trip over them. You didn't know it was going to be important. I was playing with techniques to get actually executives just to be more creative, more human, more free in their thought and action. And I found that if you took them outside of the big steel and glass buildings that businesses often work in, into the street, people were a bit freer. It's almost like they left their CFO identity behind or whatever it is, and was, quotes, just a human. I mean, one example I'll share with you is I was working with the COO of a really big company, and he was being groomed to be the CEO, but the problem was he didn't like people. I said that to him. He said, yeah, that's right. I said, oh, okay. That's needed. Okay. I said, well, so they asked me, could I give him human lessons? I was like, really? Okay. So we did something. I just thought, well, let's go out into the outside world. And we went to a cafe. And this is an example of how being out there in the street, in the world, in the public realm, let's call it, the area that the public own, we are the kings and queens of, can be helpful. So I was sitting with him. We went into a cafe, and across the room was another chap. There was a person working on his laptop, and I said to the COO, "Do me a favor." I pushed a piece of paper to him and a pen and a pencil, and I said, "Draw that person. Draw that person." He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, "What do you mean draw him?" I said, "Draw that person. Do a portrait of that person." He said, "I can't draw." I said, "I didn't say do a good one. I just said do it." But yeah. So he did. He looked at the person and, well, that's a person. I don't know him. So it was like pulling teeth. He did it. I said, great. That's part one. Part two, go and give it to him as a present. And this guy looked at me like I'd asked him to jump out of a plane without a parachute. It was like, excuse me. The blood drained from his face. But he did walk across there. He did give it to this guy as a present. And I swear he will remember that. It's now 10 years or more. But it made me think that this world out there is a great plaything. And if you prepare yourself to play with it, it will play with you back. Yeah. Street Wisdom was designed for cities, which often can seem a bit hostile and sometimes are really hostile. But if you can look at them a different way, they're also huge repositories of inspiration. Yeah. In Paris at the end of the 19th century, when they put electric light on, became this magnet for poets. Philip, who you will be hearing from in a minute, my lovely colleague from Street Wisdom, is a poet, as well as being a producer for Street Wisdom. And the poets like Apollinaire and Baudelaire flooded into the town to disappear into the crowd and become flaneurs. And in a way, that's what we're going to be doing together. Wandering and watching and enjoying the surroundings and getting input from the surroundings. So what Street Wisdom is in 3 parts, to keep it simple. How many parts? Lisa in Burbank, 3. There we go. Yes, 3 parts. That's why she's not just a portrait. She can move and she has fingers. So 3 parts. The first part is what we call the tune-up, and the tune-up is where you tune into your surroundings. It should have been called the tune-in. Philip, we should call it the tune-in. I've realized now. It's 10 years too late, but anyway. The original idea was tuning up like an instrument, but in fact we're tuning in to the world around us, yeah? And the way we do that, we're going to do 3 short wanders, not walks. Walks are from A to B. Wanders are wiggly and wonderful, yes? And each time, Philip's going to give you an instruction that will make that basically enables you to put a filter over the way you look at the world. And once we've done the 3 of them, we guarantee you'll be much more connected to the world around you. And that's important because in part 2, there are 3 parts, remember? Part 2 is the quest. And in that, we invite you to use the relationship that you've created with the environment productively by asking a question. And what you'll find is that it's almost like the environment becomes your creative friend and it wants to play. And by asking a question, it will play with you. Yeah. Rather than just walking past on a straight line between your identities, you can be playful. You'll get answers to your question, many answers probably. And then we'll share. In the final, you're invited to share, not you don't have to, but you're invited to share anything that popped out at you and how it might be an answer to your question, might be an answer to your question. We're going to be working in the world here of creativity, and so it's not logical or rational. And if you're lucky, there'll be things that pop out at you that kind of don't really make sense. That's perfect, right? That means you're sensing a connection, not thinking it through. The question we'll come to, but basically you can ask any question you like, but we would recommend following things. You might want to start thinking about it now. The first thing is that make the question personal. This is not a why is our political, I ask this question, how could the political system, how could it change and be better? That's very much a third person question. It's more like, it might be more if you wanted to go down that route, is how can I affect the politics, maybe of my community or whatever it is, but make it a me question. Don't make it too big and gaseous, because you'll get a very gaseous answer. Maybe not too small either, because you might get a small answer. And this is an opportunity to ask a bold question. Yeah, a way to think about it is, imagine yourself in a sort of metaphorical street. Maybe you're at a dead end, or maybe you're at a fork in the road, or maybe you're at a situation where you've got lots of possible answers. These are all great types of questions to ask on a street wisdom. Yeah, what's next question? What's my next step? Literally and figuratively next step. But don't worry about that now. Don't worry about anything. What we're going to do is we're going to get you into a tuned up situation where you have to do no work other than to wander and to watch and to notice. And to help you do that, a couple of things just noticed in the chat column. If you're watching from home and you don't intend to, you can do this in your house. You don't have to be in the street. As we found out in the pandemic, you can bring street wisdom home. Yeah. In fact, if you can't bring it home, what's the point of it? If the answer is only in the street, truth is the answer is often here, but we'll come to that. If you're at home, maybe switch off your phone, because what we'd love to do is the people who are out in the street, please, if you've got a phone and your data package allows, turn the camera on and turn it outwards so that we can see through your eyes, experience the world through your eyes. We'd love to do that if that's possible. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready to be tuned up? Angelica certainly is, and Lisa was born ready to be. She came onto the call tuned up, and Altera, I'm suggesting, is also ready. In which case, I want to hand you over to the silky smooth and very wonderful poet in residence and producer of Street Wisdom, the gorgeous Philip Cowell. Take it away, Philip! Yay!
Thank you, David. I have never been called silky smooth before. I'm taking it. Well, hello, everybody, my wonderful wanderers. Yes, I am here to tune you up. This might not be the way it's divided in your healthcare system, but I'm like the hygienist to David's dentist. So I'm preparing you for the quest. We're going to get into our bodies, essentially. That's what the tune-ups are all about. We're going to let our feet be wiser than our heads. But to do that, we do need to get into our bodies. Let's even start by, you could just sort of do a tiny bit of extra movement right now as I sort of introduce the tune-ups. We could just move a tiny bit more. Could you move a fraction more than you're moving? Just to get into the body, into all the different wiggly parts, the fingers, the toes, everything in between, even your wonderful head. The tune-ups are my favorite bit of Street Wisdom. I've been doing Street Wisdom as a practice since 2015 and leading free workshops, a bit like this one, on the streets of London and Berlin since then. It's easy to say it's life-changing, but it's actually true in as much as, you know, I don't have a commute anymore. I don't commute to work. I mean, I do, but my commute is fascinating. I get very excited about going out. Just going to get a paper or the milk is now an opportunity to potentially talk to someone and ask them a question, or even just notice a leaf blowing in the wind and remember how beautiful that is. And that's essentially what the tune-ups do. So I'm going to take you through 3 tune-ups. This is the first part of the Street Wisdom process. And each tune-up is a 3-minute wonder. So you're going to wonder, and you're going to use the instruction that I give you as a way to filter your experience. So imagine if I, for example, said, follow all the even numbers that you see. So you might then follow all the even numbers that you see, and that would guide your wonder. I'm not going to give you that instruction, but I think it's a good one. But you get the idea. You're going to do that for 3 minutes. That's going to be one of the wonders. And then you'll hear me speak and invite you to come back, and I'll give you the next instruction for wonder 2, and so on. So we're going to do 3 of those mini wonders, and really get into our bodies, get into the here and now, and it's going to feel rather smooth and silky, as David said. So without further ado, I feel like we've wiggled our way into our bodies enough to set you off on your first wonder. And what a joy and a pleasure it is to do that with you today and right now. So the first wonder is, be drawn to what attracts you and notice what doesn't. So for the next 3 minutes, and I'll look after the time, so don't worry about that. You just need to come back when you hear my voice next. For the next 3 minutes, be drawn to what attracts you and notice what doesn't. So wander off, be your inner child again, and be drawn to what pulls your attention. Allow yourself to be drawn like a child is drawn physically towards things, and notice what doesn't do that as well. Okay, see you in a bit. 3 minutes. Welcome back, wanderers. Hey, so quick one. I did a street wisdom this morning and a sign popped up saying, you make mistakes because your heart was in it. And I was like, that's so good. I may have made a mistake already, which is, I should have reminded you that if you are outdoors, it's great to have your camera on and facing outwards so we can all see what you're being drawn to or whatever the tune-up is. So that's amazing. So I'd encourage you, if you are outdoors, to put your camera on and facing outwards. That's amazing if you can. And then you can also do this indoors. If you can't go outdoors for whatever reason, Street Wisdom works beautifully indoors as well. And for that one, we do suggest turning the camera off and just standing within earshot of my voice so you can do the wonders indoors. So there we are. Okay, let's go for the second tune-up now. And it's a really simple one, and it's really fundamental. And that is slow right down. And I'll say it again in case I said it too fast. Slow right down. So that's not just your walking or the way that your hands or your arms or your body moves. It's not just the way that your head turns or the way that your eyes look or even the rate at which your eyes blink. Can you slow everything down? Even the speed at which new thoughts pop into your amazing head, or even the rate at which your hair grows. Can you slow right down? Okay, off you slowly go for 3 minutes. And the next time you hear my voice, we'll have the third tune-up. Enjoy. Well done. Well done. Amazing. Slowing down. I always think that that bit is a bit like having a massage. It's like the street gives you a massage for free. Okay, and now are you ready for your third tune-up? Which is in a way something you've been doing already, but we're making it really, really explicit now, which is see the beauty in everything. And it's more than just seeing, right? It's sensing the beauty in everything, because we're all three-dimensional humans now. We're connecting into the incredible neural pathways of wonder around us. And it's all of our senses, not just the 5 classic senses, the 33 senses that neuroscience is saying that we have. We're so complex now. It's so beautiful. You know, our sense of self even is a sense, and we're using that and all of our senses to see and sense the beauty in everything. And of course, there's a little extra bit here, because I know this is an advanced group, which is, of course, enjoy and notice the things that are obviously beautiful, but also allow yourself to really go into those things that don't initially seem beautiful and find the beauty in those. The scrap papers in the corner of the street, or the cables in your room, the chewing gum stuck to the lamppost. Do you spot a beautiful pattern in it? Does it surprise you? Can you sense the beauty in everything around you? And a little extra hint here is, if you like, paste the word gratitude, wallpaper it at the back of your head, and allow yourself to beam gratitude outwards. And that will basically do it too. So enjoy for 3 minutes. Have a tune-up where you see and sense the beauty in everything. Enjoy. Really, really beautiful. Well done, everybody. Bringing you back now, bringing you back, and handing over to David Pearl.
So wonderful. So in that short time, thank you so much, Philip. Thank you for that. I was doing what you were saying as you were saying it, and even as the so-called inventor of this, I find it such a powerful and quick way to make a transition from the everyday into something much more receptive. Can you feel that if you just take a moment to think back to how you were just a few Earth minutes ago, and you'll probably notice that you're sensing more, hearing more, feeling more. Maybe the world is a bit more three-dimensional. Maybe you're a bit more three-dimensional, noticing what's above you and below you, not just what's in front of you. And I often get this feeling, I don't know about you, but where my body doesn't end at my skin, but actually there are these kind of tendrils, these kind of octopus arms of sensitivity that kind of reach out a little bit into the world, and you start to feel the world reaching back. That's that feeling we're looking for, where we're a little bit more porous than we were told we were at school. Beautiful. And the reason we're doing that is so that now we can use this database of creativity that we're plugged into. And the way we do that is by asking a question. It's like bringing intentionality into a system. Those who know, their quantum physics, it changes the system. So now the world is waiting to see what you want to play with, and that question is the plaything, if you like. So bring that question to mind, and what we'd like you to do then is to wander. We're going to invite you to do that for about 20 minutes, and we'll let you know when that time is coming to an end. And what we'd love you to do is ask the question to yourself inside your head, like a mantra, if you like. Repeat it. Like I said, try and keep the words nice and simple, and that way the universe can answer in a simple way, in a way that we can understand. And notice when you ask the question what your body wants to do. Instead of so much of our time we spend deciding from here and then going straight ahead and being productive, whatever that means, we're doing something different now. You ask the question and let your body almost act as a human compass. Where does it want to go? Let your feet take you towards the answers you're looking for. Imagine your heart is intelligent, which it is, and your gut is intelligent. Allow them to be directing you. Yeah? Navigating with your embodied intelligence, not just your rational mind, your linear rational mind. And as you do that, notice what pops out at you, what comes to your attention, what jumps into your awareness. It might be a sound, it might be a word or a series of words, a picture. It could be a smell, of course. It could be just the way the sun glints on a fence. And as you're going through, imagine that those are answers in one way or the other to your question. You have to figure out with this mind what those answers are. Just harvest them. Just notice them. See if you can let them sit there and bring back at least one of these treasures to the sharing. It could be, as I say, a word, a thought, a picture, something you saw, something you heard. You can actually, some people like to use their phones as cameras and actually take pictures. And if you come back not knowing what this object means, fantastic. It means you're in that realm, the creative realm of the unconscious. You're not using this kind of wonderful computer that we've got on top that loves to tell us exactly what things mean. Great. I might suggest a few little nudges as you go, but enjoy yourself. Have a wonderful time. This is your quest. Go off and be purposelessly purposeful. Yeah. Enjoy the time. And don't force it. Your brain may not like this. It likes to think it's in charge. But let's see if you can take your brain for an interesting journey. And we'll see you in about 20 minutes. Again, I've got the time. Don't worry about it. Have a wonderful time. That's great. That's great. You're about halfway through now. Just notice what you're noticing and maybe think about what you're not noticing. What have you said no to so far? Maybe there's ways you don't go or things you prefer not to do, and that's great, but maybe now's the time to try something a little different. To open that door or ask that question. Bump into a stranger, it's sometimes really good to ask them your question. Great. Above all, let your body decide where you go by asking that question. Let your movements be dictated by the question and enjoy whatever comes to you. You're doing great. Well done.
Ya lo sé.
Mira, Elia. Claro.
Ya la vi yo. Uno, dos, probando, probando. ya lo tengo. Ya la vi yo el otro día. 1, 2, 1, 2, probando, probando.
Great. Just take a few more moments to really enjoy the quest. And remember, sometimes the best insights happen right at the end. So just keep your attention out there for the last few minutes before we do the sharing. So well wandered wanderers, wonderfully done. In Earth Minutes, that's been about 20 minutes, and we'd love you to pause the quest now. I say pause, it's not over. Remember, this is your practice now. You use it whenever you want. And if there are more questions you want to ask or more detail you want from the question you're asking, it's super easy to do. Anywhere, any place, inside, outside, on the way to the shops, as Philip said. It's a way of turning your walk into something magical, creative, interesting. So, but let's enter the third phase where we share what popped out at us and how it might be an answer to our question. In the old days, before the pandemic, we used to do this live, and we'd meet in a cafe and have a riotous time. And we can do that here online as well. But it's really nice to share what's happened to you out there. Though you've been separate, we've been doing this together. Interesting seeing what's different and to see what the connections are. So what I would love you to do, if you're able to, if you're at a laptop, for example, if you could maybe in the chat column just write down one thing that popped out at you. And if you're on a mobile and that's more difficult, you could maybe turn the camera back on yourself and smile or scowl or wink or waggle your ears independently to indicate that you would like to share, you're willing to share something that popped out at you and how it might be an answer to your question. I see Lisa, I see Angelica, I sense excitement, I sense power. Marshall's there, Elsa's there, it's happening, this is happening. So I'm going to ask, Angelica, are you able to talk to us? We loved your explorations and where you took us. Thank you for doing that. Is it possible for you to unmute and to speak to us? Maybe sometimes the mobile signal isn't very kind to us. She seems to be a little bit frozen. So Angelica,
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Hi, how are you doing?
Can you hear me? Hi, I'm good. I have wandered by towards the ocean.
Amazing.
I have to admit, Tina's thought about the kayaker was in my head. Yes.
Whereabouts are you in the world?
I am currently in Santa Barbara, California.
Okay, I love that. And what popped out at you, Angelica, of the many things? What popped out at you?
I was thinking about how, as I was passing by, there's these low plants that are like add all these different textures. And I was just thinking how interesting, if this was a traditional walk from point A to point B, I wouldn't necessarily notice like the protective plants or surroundings that nature provides. And by forcing me to look down rather than like forward, I noticed them.
I love that, Angelica. I hope we didn't force you, but I know what you mean. Sometimes, I think it was Emerson who said, we all need someone to make us do what we want to do. So I think probably, Angelica, you wanted to look down and we just gave you permission. But what was your question, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I was starting to feel a little bit, I went back to doing some paperwork and I think I was starting to feel anxious. So my question was, how do I find some peace or squeeze in peace throughout the regular work day? And I have to admit, just breathing the fresh air really just like there was a stillness, even though I was moving.
I love that. I loved how you said the protective plants that nature provides. What are they protecting?
That is a really good question. I immediately think that maybe they're protecting each other, their species, being plants to survive. I would have to reflect a bit more on that.
Or not. I mean, because you've got friends on this call. The great thing about creative communities is they are experts in you. We have Angelica experts right here. There's Marshall, there's Lisa, there's Krista, there's Anne. Anybody have want to suggest maybe in the chat column how Angelica's protective plants, her words, not mine, right? So she said nature puts up these protective plants. How might they be an answer to the question that she and many of us have, which is how do we find space for, let's call it our work, if I understood correctly, amongst the work? Any ways in which you think that's a metaphor? And you can perhaps put it in the chat column, or you could, Krista, okay, nature provides love. Okay, Lisa in Burbank. Yeah, there's a sense. Say more about that, Lisa. In what way?
I feel like when I'm in nature, because I feel the same way, Angelica, I'm very anxious today, and I have been anxious for the last few days. And I feel when I'm out in the world and I'm in nature, that I'm coexisting. And with that coexisting, I find there's love there. Because when I'm in front of my computer, which I'm there quite a bit, or in front of my phone or a television, it's a love I have to manifest, I guess. And then when I'm in nature, I feel this powerful getting out of my head. And so that was my first thought when you said protective plants. That was the first thing that came to mind.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, Lisa. That's so great. We'll come back to you if we may, Lisa. But anybody else? Krista, what did that... And the reason, it's not that we know, Angelica, but there's something about what we're doing here is in a sense, we're walking with you, and we're walking with Lisa, and we're walking with Krista. And so in some senses, when you talk about those protected plants, we're there with you. And so we have views maybe, or maybe we can see things that'll be helpful for you. Krista, what do you get?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously nature provides a lot of comfort for us, but I also think it teaches us a lot. And so when you're seeing plants protect one another, I think it's also teaching us to protect each other as well. So, you see a protective plant maybe shielding or shielding another plant who needs a little bit more protection or is feeling weak or not themselves, and just showcasing that nature can really teach us a lot if we choose to observe. Not only are we a part of it, but we also can learn a lot from it.
Amen to that. That sounds amazing. One thing that's been pinging in my mind, that Angelica, was this idea that you look down. And sometimes, you know, there are pretty majestic trees around there, but there was something about the word humble means, I think, you know, close to the ground. And I wonder whether there's a message there for you about that, which is both finding other like plants, which I think is sort of what Creative Mornings and Street Wisdom and many of these creative communities are springing up in order to give sustenance to each other. And maybe there's something about low key and taking the time that people aren't looking at, you know, they're not the high profile, but the low profile. I often feel there's enormous space in the gaps, including even between the breasts, there are gaps. And if we can harvest the gaps, there's lots of hidden holidays, even in busy, busy days. Yeah, just the thought is beautiful for us. Thank you. Thank you. Groundedness. Yeah, looking down can provide groundedness. Beautiful. Something made you look down. It's wonderful. So Lisa, if you don't mind coming back, what popped out at you while you were, did you manage to get out? Away from the TV screen?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Honestly, what popped out the most, and I apologize if I'm getting the names mixed up, but I think it was Elisa, or her staircase was so beautiful. The first moment she had her camera on, and it just, to me, it represented a conch shell. That's the first, and I'm really visual, but it was that first of her walking down her beautiful staircase, and just that feeling of descending into what, like going where, like that adventure of not knowing what your next turn is. That was exciting. And then I think it was Anne, the manhole covers on the streets were so beautiful. Like I was just like, oh my goodness, those are gorgeous. The patterns in those were extremely beautiful. And the colors and the patterns that I saw on both videos initially were so gorgeous, and that's what really stood out to me. And I kept seeing beautiful patterns and colors and type, and I love type, so I saw so many of that, and as a visual person that was so striking to me. So yeah.
Oh, it's great to talk to a visual person, because when you talk about what you see, it's as though you were there, which is fantastic. I suppose that's the movies, right? That's is that your field, by the way? Is that kind of
It is graphic design. Yeah. And I
yeah.
don't get out enough. And I'm realizing by watching both or three of these that I need to do this more. I'm finding myself very creatively cut off. And this was a good intro to get me to do this and get out and get away from my computer screen. Get away from screens in general. And really get out there and see what's out and around me. Not that I haven't, but more, and really pay attention.
Yeah. And well, it's ironic, isn't it? I mean, actually, I've been sitting on this seat for 9 hours, I think, Philip, and we're going through the night doing this. So there's a strange kind of, you're reminding me of how that I want to be out there, and I'm sort of feeling I can see the nature through the window. And I just wonder, Lisa, where might there, in those things that tinged for you, the manhole cover and the conch shell, where might be there's some wisdom for you about how Lisa can get more out? Or is it out, or is it down, or is it round, or is it in? We're not sure.
It's out. It's out because I'm in my head so much that being present is a struggle for me. And anxiety is a huge part of being in my head. So I feel that when I am out, or doing something where it's not my typical routine, I'm finding myself getting out of that. Whatever this is, I don't think this is a safe space right now. I feel like we've kind of developed this, like you said earlier, this safe space because of COVID. So we feel like this is our little bubble or a little cocoon. And I've been here too long. And I think getting out and moving and seeing and absorbing and noticing things, because another thing you said that struck me, it was going from point A to point B as a person, like you're not stopping and really taking a look at what's around you. And realize I do that. I'm always in a rush to get somewhere for some reason or another. Yeah, and I don't know why. It's just in my nature. And I don't stop. This was a great training for me to really stop and take a look and absorb it. Whether I have a question or not, like I try to think of a question and nothing.
Yeah. Well, that may be your question. So
Yeah.
we need to spring, it's the Shawshank Redemption here, people. We need to spring our friend Laura, Elisa, from her beautiful Hockney box. One thing I will suggest to you, and you don't, there's no pressure, but we are going for another 15 hours or something.
I
At
will
some
come back.
point, at some point tomorrow or whatever, just see what it's like. You don't even have to say anything, but just be on a street and use this as a lever to open the manhole cover and go for a little wandery walk down. And you don't have to, but
No, I love that.
it's a toy for you. And we really get that you want this.
I do.
And it's beautiful because it's a beautiful box you're in, by the way, but we make these beautiful boxes for ourselves.
Yes, we do.
And it's not bad, but
No.
I get that we want to see you ever scissor hands yourself out of it. So.
Yes, I want to get out of this cocoon and see what's around me.
Yeah. Our creations oppress us. So we wish you whatever way you want to do. But if you do want to say to your brain, okay, I have a date, I have made a commitment, it's work, I'm going to do this, number 15 or whatever it is, we're going to walk number 15 and I'll be there because it's important. Or not. I'm just saying. It's just
No, got it.
okay, lovely. So great. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Marshall, and I don't know if it's Marshall Opal Bozeman or Marshall Opal Bozeman, comma, Michigan, MT? Tell us, mountain.
Montana.
Oh, Montana. Oh my God. That is Bozeman, Montana, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, and he called me sir. My work on earth is done. Marshall, how do you get on? Did anything pop out at you? I think you're a little bit muted there. I don't know what happened. Sorry. There we are.
Should you
There
hear me
we are.
now?
That's great.
Okay. I'm at a grocery store and I've been feeling super avoidant of my work lately, annoyingly avoidant. And another person who I'm a big fan of here in the States is Seth Godin. And Seth, in his latest book, The Practice, has this concept of being on the hook, putting yourself on the hook, as this Turkish saying. I want Aska to Ekmek, I think it is. Sorry for all the noise.
No worries.
But it basically comes from the message is that in Turkey at these bakeries, you can buy a loaf of bread and then you can buy a second loaf or an additional loaf and put it on the hook for someone in need to come by and check, is there something on the hook? Some bread that they could have. And anyways, I stepped out of my seat here and looked out the window, and there was a fish truck across the street. It's called On the Hook. And it just really struck me that I need to put myself on the hook in order to feel enough startup energy to I've been toying with this work I need to get done for days and days on this specific project, but this is a longer term issue for me, but just that I need to make this shift of putting myself on the hook. And so that popped right out at me.
Boy, amazing how that happens when the universe literally mirrors back to you something that you're thinking about. It happens a lot. Marshall Opal. Do you need to, or are you going to? I'm sorry to be a coachy boy here, but when you say I need to put myself on the hook, try saying I'm going to put myself on the hook.
Yeah, I'm going to put myself on the hook.
Now, the question is, you don't have to put it on the hook. You haven't decided when or what, but we get when you say that you're going to put yourself on the hook. That's great. Now you need to choose what you're going to put yourself
Yeah.
on the hook for. Maybe it isn't the work that you want to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I do feel like I'm a few miles into this journey, and to turn around now feels like it maybe disrespects the steps I've taken. So I need to just embrace the drudgery and carry on.
Anybody got any thoughts for off? Because anyone, I think we've all felt the way you felt. You're so brilliantly honest. Anyone, and I mean, so well put. What do you do when you've marched into the forest off course and you're experiencing drudgery? Anyone got any brave thoughts for us about that? I'm going to say it's all course correction. You know, they never told us that. It's all course correction. And I don't know, but man, I've been off course so much of the time. And it's like, what's great about you, Marshall, is you know it. You're looking at it, you know it. A lot of people don't know it. And they're 58 when they suddenly discover they're not just a mile off course. They are way up country, and they're never, they're not coming back. You know what you're going to do. At some point, you're going to course correct. It's just a question of when. And maybe you're looking for what you want to be on the hook for.
Yeah, I could say, though, I guess I've been dabbling for a decade, and that's been wonderful. Love the dabble. And I think that I'm trying to make this transition from the dabble to the dive. Go in head first, just like full send, where I'm looking to burn the boats, and not keep my options open, and just like maybe this, maybe that. I think just because I have for so long experienced the dabble, and yeah, that I think it's essential in the process, but I think you go wide and then you drop. I would love your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of smiling around the room because a lot of people know this. I will say that, what I would say from my experience is, if you are many, which you are, you can call it dabbling, but there's a criticism implied in that, right? Dabbling. But if, and maybe there isn't, but very often there is. But if you are many, you're a multifaceted person trying many things, you might have to be patient for it to integrate. What if evolution's got plans for Marshall and it requires him to try many things? I'm 62 and I think I've begun to integrate. And it's patience means suffer. It's the sit in suffering. Patience, patiens, means it comes from the word to suffer. And it can be really uncomfortable. And a lot of people might not understand it. But it might just be possible that Marshall needs to drink from many wells and he needs to try many things. And the dive will come, maybe. I think forcing yourself, well, that could be interesting as well. Anyone else? I don't want mine to be the last voice on our friend here, but you are so well describing this thing of career, which means to course down a mountain out of control. It's not a straight line. It's this bumpy, wiggly, wobbly thing. I would just say one thing, which is when you talk to yourself, let it be in a kind voice. And if you listen to your head and it's not talking to you with a lovely, kind voice, put it in Donald Duck's voice and then see whether you can take it seriously. If you can say you're a dabbler in Donald Duck's voice, I think you'll find it might release its power on you. And then put some great voice in your head to talk to you, yeah? There's more to say, but Marshall, you're great. You're great. You speak for all of us. You really do speak for all of us. Anybody here not dabbled? Felt like, come on, put yourself on the hook. Well, are you a this or are you a that? Look at my daughter nodding, my beautiful daughter. We're coming to the end of this particular wander, but it doesn't feel like it wants to end. So, Marshall, the next time you do street wisdom is say, go fishing. I got a hook. What is worthy of the Marshall Opal hook? It's a particularly magical hook, but only put yourself on the hook for something that's really a startling thing, yeah? And then you'll go for it. Then you'll dive. High standards aren't a terrible thing. Friends, we need to pause this now, right, Krista? We need to move on to the next. We're going to Australia. We're moving from Honolulu to Australia. But just want to say thank you, deep thanks, deep bow. I want to say, if you've got a story you want to share, we'd love you to do that. We need you to do that on our website. And please share that. If you can share about this on socials, it'd be great. If you've got friends who you think could benefit from this, they can jump on in 5 hours' time. We're here for the next foreseeable future. But just want to say thank you, deep thanks, and have a wonderful time.